Hi, my name is Kevin Hinchy. I'm the writer and director of this documentary. And in the fall of 2014, we raised $187,000 in a crowdfunding campaign for the production of this film. $187,000 from hundreds of supporters from 6 continents. And with the budget in place, this film began production in January of 2015. Last year, we completed interviews and location shooting in America, Austria, Germany, and Norway. We interviewed Reich scholars.
He was a very gifted clinician.
The Jewish analysts had to flee.
Reich's colleagues and co-workers.
My mother, Eva Reich, was the older daughter of Wilhelm Reich.
His granddaughter, and various eyewitnesses to Reich's life and legacy.
Dr. Reich lived across the street from me.
And because this is the first film ever to have complete legal and creative use of Wilhelm Reich's archives, we also digitized hundreds of photographs which have never been seen publicly, plus excerpts of Reich's personal and scientific films, and key selections from hundreds of hours of Reich's voice recordings which have never been heard before. Now we're ready to edit all of these resources into a full-length documentary that tells the story of Reich's life and work. From Europe in the early 20th century to America in the 1940s and 50s, culminating in the government-ordered banning and burning of his publications and his death in a federal prison.
When I met Freud in 1919, there was immediate contact of 2 organisms. There are certain people who click, just click.
Wilhelm Reich was, without doubt, one of the very central pupils of Sigmund Freud.
The relationship between Freud and Reich is in itself a very interesting one. There was a collision between old men who'd grown up under the monarchy and a youth movement.
Reich, he thought of therapy already in a much more global sense. It involved the character.
People in psychoanalysis had just been paying attention to words, but not to the body.
There'd been an election in Germany shortly before he arrived in 1930, and the National Socialists had become the second strongest party. He became more interested in Marxism. He started a sexual politics educational organization that attracted 10,000 youth.
He becomes part of a communist cell.
Reich thinks psychoanalysis is only possible within the political left.
Freud had the illusion that the Nazi problem would go away. Reich had no such illusion, but Reich wasn't keeping quiet.
The Norwegians become interested in Reich, and especially Harald Schjelderup, who was Norway's first professor of psychology.
My father accepted Wilhelm Reich as a great scientist, and that it would be right to give such a man the opportunity of coming to Norway.
The idea is that Reich can come and perform some experiments at the University of Oslo.
Reich's later theory of how cancer develops and his belief that he had discovered a new kind of energy that he called orgone energy grew out of these experiments, these bion experiments, and the research tool that Reich used for the rest of his career, the device he called the orgone energy accumulator, also grew directly out of the bion experiments.
The kind of newspaper campaign that Reich experienced in 1937 was something he had never foreseen could happen.
The main actors in this was some of the professors of psychiatry and medicine who used these experiments to judge him as a charlatan.
He gets an offer to teach at the New School for Social Research in New York. A few weeks later, and he would have ended up in a concentration camp.
It's quite amazing, really, that he managed to build up another institute in America and to gather a new group of medical men around him.
Most of us, if not all of us, came to Reich because he was a famous psychiatrist. And we felt honored to have been treated by him and trained by him.
I got a job at Dr. Reich's office and lab in Forest Hills. Somebody put him in touch with a place that bred cancer mice.
The results with mice were so promising that by the spring of 1941, Reich was ready to try a person-sized accumulator to deliver the radiation to volunteer cancer patients. From very early in the experiments, it became clear that the cancer patients being treated with the orgone energy accumulator showed a really marked improvement in their condition.
He had found Rangeley just by accident and found that above everything else, the atmosphere was very conducive to doing work with orgone energy.
I was 18 years old when I took charge of building the first laboratory. And then he decided to build his place up on the hill.
I got a lot of flack when I was in school because we lived there on the property.
We really didn't know what it was all about, but it was explained that they were doing cancer research.
There was a lot of gossip about Reich.
They would call him a communist, they would call him a Nazi.
Others thought he was bringing this sex orgy thing to the countryside.
The FDA came, and I know that they visited my father once.
I don't think that in the 1947 or even 1948, my parents or Reich really could see the big picture of what was going to be happening.
With the Cloudbuster, I remember Reich actually invited one of my classes from school, took him out and watched him work with it.
It was big, huge hoses going down into the water here. The doctor, I remember vividly, standing on this side.
Back in '53, my father and his good friend, Hervey Phillips, had a deal going with Dr. Reich to make rain. They set up right in this area, right here. Later that evening, there was a thunderstorm, and we got a good half an inch of rain or better in the area where we wanted it. And Dr. Reich had said that you'll continue to get rain the rest of the season. And we did.
When he was told not to ship accumulators across state lines, this other guy, Silvert, shipped them anyway.
Which was absolutely in defiance of the injunction.
Contempt of court was really what the trial was about.
The last time that I saw Reich was at the trial after the verdict had been delivered.
When I first heard that Reich was going to be sent to prison, I just felt that there was no way in which he could survive this.
I do remember them coming to burn the books and dismantling the accumulators.
My father was forced to participate in the taking apart of the accumulators and in some of the burning.
You take a guy who was a refugee from Hitler and burn his books in the United States.
I did a search, book burning on the United States, in Google. And the only one that comes up is Reich.
You know, I had made the prediction that if Reich goes to jail, he'll die there. I said it'll be like putting an eagle in a cage. An eagle can't live in a cage.
If what Reich did was important, it's not just because he was a therapist, and a really good one.
The narrative about the mad scientist has somehow precluded the interesting discussions about his contributions. Start with his contributions in psychiatry and psychoanalysis and ask the simple questions: who was he? What was he really onto?
The discovery of orgone energy and the development of his theory of cancer and its implications for medicine are just huge. If even one of the things that he thought was an important contribution turn out to be correct, the stakes are enormous.
Last year, we accomplished everything we set out to do, and now we need your support for the editing and post-production phase to assemble a factually accurate documentary that will help correct and dispel the widespread distortions about Reich that we continue to see in articles, in other films, and all across the internet, including Wikipedia. And assembling this film will be just as labor-intensive and expensive as last year's production phase. If you supported us in 2014, I hope you'll support us again to help us finish this much-needed film. And if you're hearing about Wilhelm Reich for the first time, maybe there's something in his life and work that resonates for you. This film cannot be finished without your help. Please become part of this fundraising campaign, and please spread the word. Thank you.